welcome to the very first episode of Demoji World Myth and Magic. I'm Angel, your host and the creator of Demoji. I am so excited to finally bring you this podcast, which has been a long time coming. For those of you who have been a part of this community, thank you so much for your support. And for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, welcome. In this podcast, we'll be diving deep into the world of Demoji, his story, his adventures, and the magical universe I've built around him. But I also want this podcast to be a space where we explore magic and creativity and the things that inspire us. So whether you're a fan of Demoji's cute, playful vibe or you're just curious about the world I've created, there is something here for you. Each episode, I'll be sharing stories from Demoji's world, talking about how I've built an entire universe around him and giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the creative process. There will be lore, magical tips, and maybe even some surprises along the way, so grab your mug, get cozy, and let's dive in. So, who or what is Demoji? Demoji started out as this cute character I designed for my stationery shop, Persephone's Boutique. He is a small white demon with horns. He's adorable, he's playful, and he's full of personality. Honestly, when I first created him, I wasn't planning on building an entire world around him. He was just meant to be a fun, light-hearted character that I thought would bring a smile to people's faces. I've always loved stationery and planning and journaling, and I actually started making planner stickers for my community back in 2015, but at the time, the designs were pretty generic. Nowadays, the planning community is really into character stickers, but there wasn't much out there for people who leaned more towards the esoteric and witchy side of things. That's really how Demoji came to be. I created him as a cute demon character so people could add a little magic to their planners, marking everything from mundane activities like grocery shopping or movie nights to more witchy things like rituals and spell work. But the more I worked on Demoji, the more I realized there was something special about him. He started coming alive, his personality started to show up, and I just couldn't ignore the intuitive messages I was getting. I started thinking about what kind of world he would come from, what his life was like before he showed up in our world, and what kind of adventures he would have. That's when the idea for the Seven Realms of Septaema was born. So, Demoji is from this place called the Seven Realms of Septaema. It's an underworld kingdom filled with magic, ancient lore, and interesting creatures. It's a world that operates on its own set of rules, its own magical laws, its own calendar and time structure, which I'll talk more about in another episode. And Demoji is just one of many beings that lives there. He comes from a specific part of Septaema called Septimus Island, which is located in the seventh realm. Now, Demoji is not your typical demon. He's curious about the world beyond his own, and that's why he ventured into the upper realms of Earth, because he's fascinated by our culture, our magic, and the way we live. He's always looking to make new friends and learn more about earthly magic, and through his adventures, I've been able to weave together this entire world that's both fun and full of deep stories. What I love most about Demoji is that despite being a demon, his kind are some of the purest, lightest souls in the universe. It's that beautiful contradiction that makes him so special to me. It shows that even if someone is born into a negative stigma or carries a reputation that seems dark, there can always be goodness within. Demoji reminds us that no matter where we come from, we all have the capability and capacity for compassion and kindness. I created him because I wanted to bring a little joy and wonder to the world, and it's been incredible to watch his story evolve, to see how you've connected with him and how this community has grown around him. Since then, Demoji has become so much more than just a sticker character. He is the heart of an entire world, and it's a world that I'm excited to keep building and sharing with you piece by piece through this podcast and everything we do at Persephone's Boutique. So let's dive deeper into Demoji's world. As I mentioned before, Demoji isn't just a cute character with no backstory. Septaema is a magical universe made up of 7 realms, each with its own unique environment, culture, and magical energy. It's a world filled with ancient secrets, rich history, diverse creatures, and of course, magic at every corner. Demoji is from the 7th realm called Septimus, which is made up of 7 islands. The first 6 are smaller islands, collectively called the Abyssal Isles, and the large 7th island is called Septimus Island. While it might seem dark and foreboding on the surface, the beings that live there, like Demoji, are actually full of light and purity. There's something beautifully ironic about it. You know, despite their demon like appearance, the people of the 7 realms are some of the kindest and gentlest souls you'll ever meet. Personally, I love that contradiction because it reflects so much about the world we live in. Just because someone or something comes from a place that might carry negative stigma doesn't mean they can't be full of goodness and light. The other realms of Septaema also have their own distinct character and magic. For example, the 3rd realm is Echo Vale Embers. It's a fiery and vibrant realm where Demoji studied at Emberforge University of Otherworldly Arts. Now, for the demons of Septaema, otherworldly refers to anything outside their own realm, which includes Earth. So at Emberforge, Demoji not only learned the deep magic of Septaema, but he also studied earthly traditions. One of the fascinating things is that all demons in Septaema are actually fluent in Old English. This is thanks to Sidus Vargas, the first demon to ever travel to the upper realms back in 2009 BC. Sidus stayed on Earth for 3,000 years, mostly in Scotland and England, and he learned the language and culture and brought that knowledge back to Septaema. However, when Demoji first arrived on Earth in the spring of 2023, he was shocked to find that the English language had changed so much over the last 1,000 years. At Emberforge, he had refined his speaking and communication skills, but on Earth, he could barely understand anyone and had to relearn modern dialects and slang. So that was quite an adjustment for him, but of course, that curiosity and eagerness to adapt is what makes him so special. So each of these realms has its own story, its own magic, and over time I'll be sharing more about them. But what's truly exciting is how all these realms connect, not just within Septaema, but with our world too. Demoji's journey from Septaema to Earth is about exploring the unknown, being brave and taking a leap of faith, learning from different cultures, and bringing a bit of magic from one world to another. And that's something we can all relate to, whether it's finding inspiration in a new place or learning to see the magic in our everyday lives. Through Demoji's story and the world of Septaema, I've been able to build something that blends fantasy with real world inspiration. It's been incredible to build and create a world where not only the characters are magical, but the entire universe itself is full of mystery and wonder and light. And as this podcast continues, I'm excited to share even more of these realms with you and let you in on some of the deeper lore that makes this universe so rich and vibrant. So now that you've got a sense of who Demoji is and the world he comes from, let's talk about what this podcast is all about and why I created it. So, Demoji World Myth and Magic is really a space where we can dive deeper into the lore, the magic, and the stories behind Demoji and his universe. It's a way for me to share more than just the surface level characters or products you see in the shop. Through this podcast, I want to invite you into the heart of what I've built. Every episode will explore a different aspect of Demoji World, whether it's the history of the 7 realms, the magical creatures that inhabit them, or Demoji's adventures here on Earth. Sometimes I'll take you behind the scenes of the creative process, like what goes into building the lore, designing new characters, and even how the products you see in Persephone's boutique are inspired by this world. Other times, we'll talk about magical practices that connect with Demoji World, whether that's earth magic, rituals, or tips for integrating magic into your everyday life. My goal with this podcast is not only to expand on Demoji's story, but also to help familiarize you with the deep lore and magical elements of Demoji World as we prepare for the launch of the Demoji World video game, which is currently in development. Very, very excited about this. So, through this podcast, I want to give you a glimpse into the world that will come to life in the game. So, when it's ready, you'll feel truly immersed in the story and connected to the characters. Whether you're into fantasy, spirituality, or just looking for something fun and uplifting to listen to, I want this podcast to be a place where you can connect with your creative side, your magical side, or even just take a break from the everyday world. I'll be releasing new episodes on the 7th and 21st of every month, so you'll always have something new to look forward to. And if you're interested in diving even deeper, we have a special podcast called Demoji World Beyond the Realms that's exclusive to our Ko-fi members. Those episodes will air on the 14th and 28th, and we'll be going into even more hidden lore and stories and behind the scenes details about Demoji World. And Ko-fi is just a great way to support what I'm doing while getting access to more exclusive content. I truly hope that through this podcast, you'll feel more connected to Demoji's world and maybe even find a little spark of magic in your own life. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to share more with you as we continue to build and explore the realms of Septaema together. And so that brings us to the end of our very first episode of Demoji World Myth and Magic. I hope you enjoyed getting to know a little more about Demoji and his world and the exciting journey we're going to be on together. Like I said, this is just the beginning, and I'm so excited to have you with me as we delve deeper into the realms of Septaema and explore the magic that lies ahead. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I'll be releasing new ones on the 7th and 21st of every month. And if you're really intrigued by what you've heard so far, don't forget about our Ko-fi exclusive podcast, which is called Demoji World Beyond the Realms, where we'll go even deeper into the lore and share some behind the scenes secrets. That one airs on the 14th and 28th, so there's always something new to look forward to. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. If you have a moment, please leave a comment. It would mean the world to me, and it helps others find the podcast too. Thank you again for being here, and until next time, keep a little magic in your day and stay curious. See you in the next one. Bye.